This is Curry with LiveCodeConsulting.com. And today I have a topic that's very, very basic. Let me lead up to it. I'm an independent consultant and developer. I've been using LiveCode for a very long time. It's an exciting development tool. And if you're excited about it, you'll probably want to install it on your computer, right? Well, that leads us to the topic, how to download LiveCode. It almost seems too simple, but the LiveCode downloads page, it has a lot of options. It has a grid of downloads going across and going down the page, just hundreds of downloads. And you get into LiveCode versions, LiveCode editions. What are those? Technical terms like DP and RC, all of that just to get started. So you can see for the newcomer, it can be a little bit overwhelming, potentially, maybe. And even for people that or intermediate level, they've already been using LiveCode for a while. Over the years, I found out that sometimes not everyone understands all of the ramifications of the version of LiveCode they chose to download and install on their computer. So let's find out what version of LiveCode you should download and how to make that happen quickly to get you started. So here we are, downloads.livecode.com. This is where the action is. And by the way, don't worry about this /livecode. If you're typing it in, this is all you're going to need is downloads.livecode.com. And the rest of it will just appear automatically. You don't have to worry about it. So just taking a look at the page right quick as an overview, you can see that each version of LiveCode, such as LiveCode 9 or LiveCode 8.1.2, in this download page they have it broken out into a little section. You can see a rectangle around here where I'm tracing, and within that you see they have rows like DP4, DP3, and in each row there's additions, community, indie. What the heck is all that stuff, right? And then within each edition you have obviously downloads for Windows, Mac, that kind of thing. Down here in 8.1.2, this one says stable. What's that? And RC 3, 2, 1. So we've got a whole bunch of downloads going on here. I mean, if we counted the number of downloads, 4 times 4, we got 16 times 4. We got 64. We got 128 here. If I multiplied right, that we're looking at right at the moment. So just hundreds of downloads on this page. Technical terms like DP and RC, stable, editions. What is all this stuff? So let's scroll back up to the top of the page and take a quick look here at the fine print. And I suggest we start with DP. It says it's short for developer preview. And it also says these releases are not feature complete and they're pretty likely to contain bugs. So why do we have these DPs here? Well, here's the thing. DPs are very useful, but I think they're most useful for advanced users, not for beginners. And actually, I couldn't tell you the number of times I've been working with people, clients and friends, and I noticed that they have DPs installed. They have developer preview versions of LiveCode installed. And even though they may be a beginner, or an intermediate user. And now that's fine. I mean, DPs are great if you know what they're for. But the problem is, here's how the problem can come about, is when you're actually developing your app, you've got your project going, you got some good stuff going, you're trying to work out your bugs. Then the difficulty is, if you have a DP version installed, then suddenly you have to be able to make a differentiation. You have to be able to say, okay, I'm having this problem, and I know that's my bug. In this other problem, I know that's LiveCode's bug because it's a developer preview. It's kind of like a beta version that I have installed. See the problem? For beginners, it's going to keep it a lot simpler, and it'll simply just narrow down the possibilities. If there's a problem, then you won't have to wonder why. You'll know it's probably your problem. And that'll be helpful. So I do not recommend the DP downloads for beginners. And hey, guess what? Let's look at the implications of that. Since at the moment, which is January the 9th, 2017, when I'm making this video, at the moment, LiveCode 9 is at the top. It's the latest release, but it only has DP versions. You can see all of these rows, they're all DPs, right? That means I would not really recommend a beginner to download LiveCode 9 today when I'm making this video. Now when you watch the video, okay, LiveCode 9 will have already gone to a stable release. But I'm just saying, whatever it is, whatever may be the very latest version when you watch this video, it may be 10, 11, 12, then you know, if you see only DPs and you're a beginner, then I suggest you go ahead and skip down and get another version that's stable, because that will give you the best version to start out as a beginner, unless you're just, you know, unless you're just fooling around with it and looking what features it has, then it's okay. But for serious work, get a stable version. So I kind of jumped ahead, didn't I, to stable? Because this is one of those funny definitions that repeat the word being defined. But stable means it's stable. It means, more particularly, it's well tested. It's not a beta version anymore. What happened is they started out with developer preview when they were working on adding features. And then they worked out the bugs. Then they got to the RCs, which are release candidates, and at that point most of the bugs were gone, but they're just double checking. They're just double checking, making sure all of the bugs are gone. Each of these guys is a candidate to be the next stable release. And for the beginners, stable is what you want. It really is going to be more stable for you. It's going to be a version that's well tested and ready for general use with as few bugs as possible for the features that are included. Alright, whereas these RCs, and especially the DPs, are more for your advanced user that's actually looking to be part of that beta testing, looking ahead to see what the newest features are going to be, that kind of thing. Alright, so now that we've looked into the stable versus DP thing, then let's go ahead and zoom in on one of these versions. And in this case, as I said, since LiveCode 9 doesn't have a stable version yet, it only has DPs. So for beginners, I recommend go ahead and jump down to the first version you can find, such as this LiveCode 8.1.2 at the time that I'm making this video. which is January the 9th, and that will change. Go ahead and jump down to the first version you can find that has a stable release. Alright? If you're a beginner, that'll be the best for you. Then we can start looking across at these editions. We've got Community, we've got Indie, we've got Business Edition. So what's going on with these? So you've seen that LiveCode has several of what they call editions. Community, Indie, Business. Which one do you want? And you may be wondering, well, if there's a free version, why would I need the paid version? Or vice versa. So there's several ways to look at this. One is to look at how the software is produced. It doesn't make itself, the software, and it doesn't support itself. There's a company doing that, and they obviously need to keep that going. They also made the decision to offer a free and open source version too, which, you know, shook things up a little bit, made it more interesting. So when you have the free version, which they call Community Edition, and it's open source, that means LiveCode source is open, and when you use it, your source is also open. And in particular, when you're looking at publishing to the iPhone App Store, which is one of the hottest platforms, that's a big one, because you will have to get a paid version of LiveCode if you want that. It's the way the App Store works, the terms and conditions, all that. So there you go. There's one of the biggest incentives right there. And there's other important factors too. Not only the iPhone App Store, but also the free and open source version does not have the ability to use all of the add-ons and extensions that are available, including my own. And for a similar reason, just because if you have open source LiveCode, it can only use other open source products. So I like to consider the free Community Edition of LiveCode a good place to get started for education, for getting your feet wet, try before you buy, develop before you publish. But for most people, especially serious developers, you're going to want to move up. And the first level to move up to would be the LiveCode Indie Edition. It's a good edition for small business, for most people. And it has the, paid features that you need. It has the iPhone App Store. You can use all the externals and add-ons. Good stuff. And now, it's kind of funny. Now I'm kind of flipping to the other side of the equation here, that I just want to mention the price of the Indie version lately has gone up a little, or maybe more than a little. It's doubled. Indie occupies a really important space for LiveCode. As I say, I've used LiveCode for many years, and I really think Indie is where it's at for most people. So I hope the company, after observing how things go for a while, hope the company decides to keep those Indie prices down there, because it is the version that I recommend. It's the version that I think will work for most people, especially for most small companies, the kind of companies that I often consult with. Anyway, there you go. So to determine which edition of LiveCode is right for you, it just depends. Are you really serious? If so, you might want to jump right into the indie version. Are you a little bit tight on cash right now? Are you a student looking to try it out a bit before you take it up a notch? If so, the Community Edition might be just right for you. And if you're a bigger business, especially if your business has, I think it's $500,000 a year, they actually have a price indicator now that if your business is a certain size, you're required to go with that business edition instead of the indie version. And it also has some extra features and support, like prioritized support for that business version that's going to be pretty handy too. Anyway, now we've covered the editions, let's get back to downloading that thing. Okay, so if you are looking to go ahead and buy LiveCode, you may want the Indie Edition. It's going to get you started for the lowest price that you can go ahead and use everything and publish everywhere. So for that, it's the Indie Edition, and then within the Indie Edition you're just going to choose based on what kind of computer you're on at the moment. If you're on Windows, you're going to click on the Win, and you're going to get a LiveCode installer for this particular version for Windows, and it'll end with an exe. And likewise, if you're on a Mac, you are going to end up with a DMG, a disk image for Mac, to get that thing installed. So there you go. Now, if you were looking for the free version, maybe you're going to try it before you buy, work on it for a while before you make your release, do some learning, then you can try the Community Edition. And again, look for a stable version, Windows, Mac, whatever kind of computer you're on at the moment, you can find the right download. So let's look at all the versions of LiveCode that they have on this page. We've seen LiveCode 9 and 8.1.2, which are the latest at the time that I'm making this video. That will change. But look how many versions of 8 they have posted. That's pretty neat. And sometime with a major version, you can see how many DP, Developer Preview, releases there were. And in this case, look at the dates. The first DP1 was way back in April of 2015, and the stable release was in May of 2016. That's a whole year that LiveCode 8 was in testing. And that was a pretty interesting year, by the way. So LiveCode 7, and you can see a very similar thing going on here with the first release. You've got a few months in development and so forth. But the nice thing, you've got LiveCode 6 here, you've got LiveCode 5 probably if we go down far enough. And that's what I really love about this download page, is that everything is here, no red tape. You can just get the version you need, the download you need. Sometimes people have been working on projects for a long time. Sometimes they worked on something and put it on the shelf for a while, life got busy, and then they come back to it. So having all these downloads available, it ensures that we can run those projects, especially a consultant like me, can help people run those projects, start getting them up to speed again. We may be taking somebody that was working on something in LiveCode 5, and we may be bringing them up to the very latest, LiveCode 8 and 9. but it may take a while and we may have to solve a few issues on the way. So that's one of the great things about this download page. No red tape. You just jump in there and you can instantly find whatever version you may need with the people and the projects that you're working on. Alright, so there you go. If you're a beginner, as I said, what you need to do, in my opinion, just go for the first stable release you come to, and then choose your edition and the type of computer you're on. There you go. Hope you enjoyed this video, even though it is a simple topic. Over the last couple of years, I began to realize the downloads is a topic that needs to be covered. And yes, it has been a couple of years that I have been planning to start my videos for LiveCode. Got delayed by some health issues and other things. But here we go. And if you need help getting started, training, learning, I have a fluency method that's unique. I created that myself. And I'll be publishing a book about it soon. You can find my information, my contact information too, at livecodeconsulting.com. I'm glad to help and teach beginners, as well as helping intermediate users become more efficient and helping advanced users with the challenges that are advanced challenges to LiveCode. Glad to help with any of that kind of stuff. I do development and consulting and teaching. Then I also offer some add-ons for LiveCode, mostly dealing with Word and Excel, import and export. So feel free to check out those too, LiveCode add-ons and livecodeconsulting.com. And signing off here, this is Curry at livecodeconsulting.com, and I hope you enjoy downloading, installing, and jumping right into LiveCode. It's a very exciting development tool, and I'm glad that you're jumping in.